Hello and thank you for watching. In this video, you will learn about decomposers and their role in ecosystems. First, let's take a closer look at the word that decomposer comes from, which is decompose. Perhaps you've heard this word before, and you know that to decompose means to become rotten, or to decay, or to be broken down into simpler parts. This pile of trash and old food is in the process of breaking down, decaying, and decomposing. So if we're talking about decomposers in an ecosystem, what do you think the role of a decomposer is? It is to cause things to rot and decay, and to break down into simpler parts. A decomposer is an organism that eats decaying matter, which would be dead plants and plant parts, and animals. Decomposers are heterotrophs because they consume their food and cannot make it themselves. Decomposers are super important to every ecosystem because they break things down and put important nutrients back into the soil for plants to use. If there were no decomposers, then dead plants and animals would just pile up everywhere, and nutrients would never return back into the soil for plants. Something important to note is that decomposers are different from scavengers. Remember that scavengers are animals like worms, flies, beetles, vultures, crows, and raccoons that eat dead plants and animals. Decomposers are different because they are not animals, and they break down decaying matter into individual nutrients that go back into the soil. There are just a few types of decomposers. One of them is fungi or fungus. What do you think of when you hear fungi or fungus? Maybe you think of mushrooms. Mushrooms are a type of fungus, and there are many species of mushrooms, including many that grow in Michigan. Mushrooms are decomposers, but don't confuse them with plants. They do not have leaves to photosynthesize with and make their own food. They break down decaying plants and animals for their food. Another type of fungus is mold. Maybe you've seen mold growing on a piece of fruit or a loaf of bread. Mold is a decomposer that breaks down dead things, including foods that we may want to eat that we've let sit around for too long. Another decomposer that is not a type of fungus is bacteria. There are many species of bacteria, some of which are helpful and some of which are harmful. Bacteria are single-celled organisms, meaning that they are extremely tiny and are made of just one cell instead of many. They come in many different shapes and sizes. Bacteria are everywhere, including soil. When plants and animals die, bacteria breaks them down and puts the nutrients from the decaying matter back into the soil. Again, this is why decomposers are so important. When living things die, or when plants let leaves, twigs, fruit, and nuts fall to the ground, decomposers are there to break those down and put the nutrients back into the soil for plants to use.